Introduction to Lemuria, a forgotten spiritual civilization. There is a name that echoes faintly through the veils of forgotten time, a name that survives not in textbooks, but in dreams, visions, and whispers carried on the winds of ancient memory. That name is Lemuria. Also known by some as Mu, this sacred civilization is said to have predated even Atlantis, resting upon the heartbeat of the earth like a luminous echo of a higher existence. But Lemuria was not forged in conquest, nor defined by borders. It was born of vibration, of harmony, of a collective heartbeat synchronized with the rhythms of Gaia. The Lemurians did not build empires. They cultivated energy, nurtured connection, and walked in tune with the celestial song of creation. Through the lens of Sabadoria Ancestral, we begin to uncover their lost resonance. The spiritual landscape of Lemuria was unlike any modern civilization because it did not divide spirit and matter. There, the sacred was not something to be sought. It was lived, breathed, and embodied. Daily life was an act of devotion, not to gods carved in stone, but to the living presence of energy cosmic that pulsed through every leaf, every ocean tide, every breath. The Lemurians communicated without words, relying instead on frequencies, colors, and pure telepathic resonance. Their language was emotion, and their truth was felt, not spoken. Misterios occultos were never hidden behind doors, but danced openly in the shimmering light of consciousness. Each individual was a note in the great symphony of planetary vibration. To understand Lemuria is not merely to study a past, it is to remember a state of being that still hums softly within the deepest layers of the soul. Many spiritual seekers today report spontaneous visions of crystal cities, of radiant beings immersed in light, of floating temples built not with tools, but with intention. These are not fantasies. They are the remnants of ancestral memory, the codes of illumination as spiritual, encrypted within our very cells. These soul fragments reawaken during altered states, deep meditation, or encounters with ancient texts. Prohibidos that defy historical narratives. The story of Lemuria isn't just a tale, it's a reflection of a forgotten version of ourselves. Lemuria's most profound teaching may not be in what they built, but in what they remembered. While modern humanity chases innovation through intellect, the Lemurians honored the alchimia interior, the sacred art of transforming consciousness. They were alchemists of emotion, tuning their inner states to commune with nature, with celestial beings, and with the multi-dimensional web of life. Animals were not domesticated, but revered as equals. Trees were consulted for wisdom, and the ocean was seen as a cosmic mirror holding the secrets of the stars. Through ritual, frequency, and deep presence, they activated energy centers not with machines, but with breath, intention, and song. But as we feel the frequency of this ancient realm begin to stir in our awareness, we must ask, why did it vanish? Why would a civilization so rooted in peace, wisdom, and unity dissolve from the earthly plane? The answer, as with all sacred mysteries, is layered, woven through timelines, dimensions, and the silent dialogues between souls and planets. And to begin unveiling this enigma, we must walk further into the mythos, toward the very heartbeat of Lemurian life itself. Life and culture of the Lemurians. To step into the daily life of a Lemurian is to enter a reality untouched by the fragmentation of modern consciousness. There was no concept of separation between individuals, between species, or between the physical and the spiritual. Lemurians lived in a state of perpetual attunement to the Earth's frequency, aligning their lives with the tides, the moon, and the breath of Gaia herself. Society flowed, not through law or force, but through an unspoken code of resonance. Everyone contributed not based on obligation, but on intuitive knowing. Children were seen as ancient souls returning for specific missions. Elders were revered as living scrolls of Sabiduria ancestral, and every interaction was a ceremony of presence. The Lemurian culture was built upon the foundation of vibrational intelligence. Words were rarely needed because communication was telepathic, direct, and heart-centered. Through subtle shifts in frequency, they transmitted thoughts, feelings, and even images across great distances. Sound was their most sacred tool. They used tones and chants not as art, but as technology. With sound alone, they healed wounds, moved objects, activated portals, and transmitted knowledge. This was a civilization where the invisible was as real as the tangible, where Energia Cosmica was harnessed consciously and intention shaped reality with the elegance of a sculptor molding light. Architecture in Lemuria did not begin with blueprints. It began with vision. The structures they built were not merely shelters, but living temples. Crystalline, luminous, and tuned to specific frequencies, these buildings amplified consciousness and served as bridges to higher realms. The materials were not mined, but called forth through energetic alchemy, light condensed into form through intention and song. In these spaces, Lemurians gathered to meditate, activate soul memory, and align themselves with the cosmic web. The geometry of these places reflected universal principles, forming a living mandala of mysterios occultos woven into the very land. Animals, plants, and elements were not just companions, they were co-creators. Dolphins were known as keepers of sound codes, whales as librarians of memory. Birds carried messages between dimensions, and crystals served as memory banks, storing the frequencies of ancient stars. Lemurians coexisted with these beings not from dominance, but through reverence. Their agriculture was vibrational, their medicine was energetic, and their science was the art of aligning the soul with the earth's sacred rhythm. Every act, eating, bathing, dreaming, was part of the alchemia interior, a path to refine the self and maintain harmony with the greater whole. But even in this seemingly perfect balance, subtle shifts began to occur. Echoes of change whispered in the energetic field. The earth too was evolving. A new vibration was rising, and not all were ready to harmonize with it. The Lemurians, sensing this impending divergence, began to prepare, not out of fear, but with deep understanding. And so, the question emerges, how does a civilization rooted in unity respond to the call of transformation? The answer lies in the fall. Or rather, in the metamorphosis that would ripple through the ages and into the rise of Atlantis. The fall and legacy of Lemuria. There was no single catastrophe, no divine punishment nor sudden collapse. The fall of Lemuria was a symphonic unraveling, slow, poetic, and deeply symbolic. It began not with a quake of the earth, but with a tremor in consciousness. As the earth's axis subtly shifted and celestial alignments transformed, the very frequency upon which Lemurian life was built began to diverge. A denser vibration entered the planetary field, inviting challenge, choice, and duality. For those attuned to harmony, this shift was dissonance, a discordant note in the music of the cosmos. And yet, it was part of a deeper cycle, written in the invisible scrolls of Energia Cosmica. As this vibrational rift expanded, so too did the collective consciousness begin to fracture. Some Lemurians remained aligned with the old frequencies, anchoring the Sabiduria ancestral into the Earth's crystalline grid. Others, curious and unprepared, drifted toward material density and mental constructs. This divergence gave rise to the emergence of Atlantis, a new civilization focused on technology, intellect, and external mastery. Where Lemuria had looked inward, Atlantis looked outward. Where Lemurians listened to the earth, Atlanteans sought to command it. It was not a battle of empires, but a transformation of consciousness, two paths branching from the same source. The final days of Lemuria, as remembered through soul regressions and ancient textus prohibidos, were not of despair, but of sacred farewell. Great gatherings were held in crystalline temples, where high initiates encoded their wisdom into light structures, crystals, and sacred chants. Others retreated into the earth's inner sanctuaries, vast subterranean realms of high vibration known to few today. Some believe these beings became the Agathans, or merged with star nations beyond the Pleiades. Their departure was not death, it was transmutation. The alchemia interior of their collective soul simply took a new form. But Lemuria did not vanish. Its wisdom scattered like stardust, embedded into the DNA of those who would one day seek the lost harmony. Certain mountains, islands, and sacred lakes hold the frequency of Lemuria still. Hawaii, New Zealand, and parts of the Andes are often cited as echo points, places where the veil thins and the ancient vibration hums beneath the soil. The ocean, too, holds memory. Deep within its song, one can feel the pulse of a world, once lit by telepathy, compassion, and crystalline clarity. Mysterios occultos linger in these waters, waiting for those with ears to listen. And so, while Lemuria fell in form, its essence endured in spirit, woven through time, awaiting the moment when human hearts would again become instruments of divine frequency. That moment, some believe, is now. The very restlessness you feel, the dreams, the visions, the sense that this world is not your first. It may not be mere imagination, it may be memory stirring. For if Lemuria left behind a legacy, it was. Not in stone ruins or buried relics, but in the silent call to return home to the heart. But how do we answer that call in a modern world so far removed from those vibrations? The keys lie not in history books, but in the very way we choose to live today. Lemuria's wisdom for the modern world. To speak of Lemuria is not merely to awaken forgotten lands, but to retrieve a frequency that still pulses beneath the noise of modern life. In a world dominated by intellect and speed, Lemurian wisdom whispers a radically different path, one where the heart is not just an organ, but an oracle. Their message is not loud, it is subtle, felt in moments of stillness, in the rustling of leaves, in the unspoken knowing between souls. They remind us that the greatest technology is inner alignment, and that Illuminação Spiritual is not achieved through accumulation, but through presence. To live as the Lemurians did is to choose coherence with the sacred now. At the core of their teachings is a simple yet revolutionary truth. The heart knows what the mind cannot grasp. This is not metaphor. It is encoded in the electromagnetic field of the body, which science is only beginning to comprehend. Lemurians cultivated this field intentionally, allowing their heart resonance to guide actions, decisions, and relationships. In doing so, they became mirrors of Energia Cosmica, translating divine vibration into form. Their society flourished, not through control, but through coherence. And in our modern chaos, this blueprint still waits to be reawakened, not in temples, but within the rhythm of our breath and the silence between thoughts. The modern world asks us to consume more, to know more, to do more. But Lemuria teaches the sacred art of being. Their legacy is one of simplicity, of eating in gratitude, walking with awareness, and speaking only when words uplift. They invite us to return to the body as a sacred vessel, to nature as a teacher, and to community as an extension of the soul. Even the most mundane acts, drinking water, lighting a candle, listening to music, become portals to alchemia interior when infused with intention. It is not about escaping the modern world, but about spiritualizing it through remembrance. This wisdom also calls us to reconnect with what the Lemurians never forgot: the sentience of Earth. Mountains, rivers, and winds are not objects. They are ancient beings with memory and voice, When we acknowledge this, a dormant communication reactivates, the veils thin, and from that sacred dialogue emerge answers we have long sought in books and screens. The texts prohibidos of our time may not be on dusty scrolls, but hidden in our own disconnect from nature. To recover them, we must not search outward, but downward, inward, and into the core of our forgotten soul. And still, there is more. This resurgence of Lemurian consciousness is not accidental. It coincides with a rising planetary frequency and a collective thirst for truth beyond illusion. Those who resonate with these teachings are not merely curious, they are being called, not to preach, not to conquer, but to embody. And yet many of these souls report a strange pull, a mysterious ache, a dream of stars and oceans they cannot explain. Who are these beings? What is their purpose now in a time so fractured? To answer that, we must look not only at memory, but at incarnation. For Lemuria may have fallen, but her children have returned, Lemurian souls and their purpose today. Across the world, there are those who do not feel entirely at home in this reality, souls who walk among the noise yet crave silence, who sense ancient memories in the rhythm of the waves or in the scent of rain. These are the Lemurian souls, incarnated again, not for conquest, but for remembrance. They are not defined by their beliefs, but by the frequency they carry. Their presence is often gentle, their impact quiet yet profound. Drawn to healing, nature, sound, and stars, they are emissaries of Sabadoria ancestral, here not to teach with words, but to transform through being. Their lives are living altars to a vibration that once shaped a golden age. These souls often carry a deep sense of longing, a homesickness that no place on earth can satisfy. Is not a sadness of the past, but a resonance of a timeline still alive in their field. They remember, even if unconsciously, the harmony of Lemuria, the unity with Gaia, the sacredness of all life, the absence of fear. This remembrance can be both a gift and a burden. In a world that has forgotten, to remember can be isolating. Yet this contrast is not a punishment. It is the ignition of the alchemia interior. It is through the tension between memory and reality that these souls begin their sacred task of transmutation. Unlike traditional spiritual leaders, Lemurian souls rarely seek the spotlight. Their mission is not grandiose, nor their method dogmatic. They do not come with doctrines, but with vibrations. In their presence, others feel safer, calmer, more seen. They carry frequencies that awaken dormant codes in those around them. Through art, sound, movement, touch, or silence, they activate fields of healing that transcend language. Their lives are guided by intuition, dreams, and synchronicities, signposts, placed by Energia Cosmica to help them navigate a world that often feels foreign. And yet, even in their quietude, they are reshaping the collective. Many of these souls feel a call to water, the ocean in particular, because it holds the ancient tones of Lemuria. Others feel drawn to the stars, sensing a multi-dimensional lineage that stretches beyond Earth. They are natural empaths, dreamers, intuitives, and often misunderstood. But they are not here to fit in. They are here to anchor a different reality. Each act of kindness, each conscious breath, each courageous moment of presence sends ripples into the collective field. They do not seek to be understood, but to remember and remind. Their compass is the heart, their mission encoded in their soul's geometry, and perhaps the most powerful truth is this. If you are reading these words and something within you stirs, an ache, a recognition, a quiet yes, you may be one of them. You are not alone. The time of hiding is over. The vibration of Lemuria is rising again, not to repeat the past, but to infuse the present with mysterios ocultos that never truly vanished. You are the bridge between what was and what can be, but how do we carry this ancient knowing into a modern world without losing its sacred essence? The answer begins by remembering who you are and daring to live as if that truth were not just beautiful but real. What if the memories that haunt your dreams weren't memories of this life, but echoes of another civilization, long buried beneath the sands of time? What if everything you've been taught about human history was missing a chapter, one hidden between the folds of myth and silence? Today, we step beyond the veil of conventional knowledge and into the shimmering fragments of a forgotten world. Lemuria, a realm not of legend, but of vibration. Before Atlantis rose, before the great temples of Egypt touched the sky, there was a land where humanity walked in harmony with stars and ocean alike. A land where souls communicated without words, where structures were woven from light, and where the earth itself pulsed with sacred consciousness. This is not fantasy. This is the knowledge encoded in textos prohibidos, in ancient chants, and in the very DNA of those who have always felt different. In this journey, you will discover the story of Lemuria from its luminous rise to its metaphysical fall. You will witness the life of its people, their mysterious technology, their divine connection to Gaia, and why their wisdom may hold the key to healing the fractured world we live in today. These are not just teachings. They are awakenings, portals, keys to the alchemia interior that so many feel stirring within. But be warned, once this door opens, the illusions of modernity may no longer satisfy. You'll begin to feel the pull of something ancient, something sacred, something real, a calling to remember and to rise. If this message stirs something deep within you, don't let it pass. Like this video, leave your insight in the comments and subscribe for more transmissions of ancient knowledge. The truth doesn't scream, it whispers. And today it's whispering to you. Now that you've seen the story hidden beneath centuries of silence, one question remains. What ancient truth is your soul still waiting to remember? Lemuria may have faded from the maps, but it never left the heart. Its vibration lives on, in dreams, in synchronicities, in the quiet pull towards something greater than yourself. If something within you was stirred, it wasn't by accident. You're being called to awaken the sabiduría ancestral that has always been yours, to walk with presence, to lead with love, to remember the misterios ocultos that once shaped a world of harmony. So I ask you, could you be one of them? One of the souls who returned not to observe, but to activate? Share your reflections in the comments. Your voice may awaken someone else's path. And if you're ready to keep diving into these sacred truths, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join us in the next revelation. We'll meet again in the echoes of what was and the light of what's yet to come.